Hello there, and welcome to the start of the stream where I faff about for a while. If you're watching this on YouTube, which this is the recording, so I don't know where else you'd be watching it, I'll have put some timestamps, hopefully, so that you can skip to when I'm actually doing stuff. Or enjoy the sound of me faffing about for a couple of minutes, I suppose. So, go live on Twitch. Think all ought to be well. I am apparently live on Twitch. My chat is okay. My Streamlabs OBS still says connecting to chat, and it's sorted. Good. So that's up and running. So now I suppose it's time to start pinging people. Accidentally tagged a single user rather than everyone, that's not ideal. Boop. And HWBOT Discord as well. Alright. So that's people pinged appropriately. The stream should be live. Let me just go on the Twitch site and double check that I'm live and the sound is coming through and everything. Double check that I'm live. Yep. Hey Dave, how's my week been? Oh boy. My week, yeah, it's been busy. Lots of stuff. But the important thing is that I'm here and I have this set up and I can actually stream, and yeah, the week has involved lots of sorting things out that needed to be sorted out and are sorted out now. But yeah, maybe if I get bored later on I'll go off on a rant about it all, but I'm going to try not to, because that's not the point. The point is that I have an 8120 under there, I have PSC there. It's actually... Before I power the system on, let me show you the RAM. It's not anything special, it's just a bit unusual. So we have it's Corsair XMS3 with PSC. I have tested it, it's fine. And it was the nearest. So 1039 date, which is a bit on the late side because it's Corsair, so like later Corsair PSC seems to be a bit better. Later G-Skill PSC is a bit worse. Dave says I'm going to need to get a storage locker for the summer at this rate, lol. Yeah, yeah, hardware addiction. Mind how you go with that. I've actually succeeded in getting rid of some stuff recently, so that's nice. But then I also found out that the tyres on my car are A, mismatched, and B, complete shit. So I've been getting rid of stuff towards the tyre fund, which is great. Anyway. So, the setup here is I've got an FX-8120, I've got single stage phase change, Subzero cooling, the memory, it's only 2 gig sticks, but it's PSC, so it's good memory, it should overclock well. The GPU doesn't matter because we're not doing GPU stuff. And I'm going to be running the FX in 1 core per compute unit mode, because not only the FPU, but actually other bits of the core, so like the decoder, would normally be shared. So the way that FX works, the decoder can do 3 instructions every single cycle, but it can only feed 1 core at a time in a module. So one time it might do 3 instructions to 1 core, and then it does 3 instructions to a different core. And that obviously does introduce a bit of a bottleneck. So with just 1 core per module, 1 core per compute unit, you've got the full-size decoder feeding that core all of the time, you've got the full-size FPU all of the time, you've got all of the cache all of the time, and so it's a lot faster. This 4-core configuration will beat the pants off of like even liquid nitrogen 4-core 2-module configurations. And so that's what we're going to be playing about with today. So with that out the way, let's is the single stage plugged in? It is! Good. Forks says, glad they added the 1-core per module options. Yeah, I'm really glad of it as well. I mean, they need to finish adding them. They need to actually add all of them, rather than just having a couple. But yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, because otherwise HWBOT's in this really dodgy position where they have these special categories for the latest Intel chips. And hey, Tim. Yeah. They have these special categories for Intel Alder Lake, and it makes sense to have the categories for Alder Lake, but it's a dodgy position to be in, where you're saying that like this one chip from Intel has a special category so that it can be more competitive for global points. That's not ideal. So if you come up with a more general definition and you say, well, okay, this also counts because you have more execution resources per core in this setup, or I haven't actually been in the BIOS yet, so in the setup it's going to be in once I've done it. But yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's really fun to see like quad core scores that are a lot faster than any other quad core with the same architecture. I hope they take it to all of the FX and the FM2, FM2 Plus chips. Yeah, same, absolutely. It would shake up the rankings a little bit for 3-core and 1-core, but I think that's a good thing. They need shaking up. I mean, who can buy an L3014 these days? Like, there's 10 people who have the ability to set a record for 1-core, unless it's just something that no one else has done yet. Like with the Sempron 130, like I got a load of global first places for 1-core, but only because no one else had done it properly. It's similar. I know there's people who have worked really hard on triple core, and with triple core it's a lot more about binning and overclocking the Phenom X2s. But you know, you get to have the fun of binning and overclocking some FXs instead. Anyway, I've just remembered I probably could do with a fan that's doing something for the board heater that we've got just here. And I don't remember where I left the fans when I was clearing out the bench area. Oh, hello. Actually, what I have noticed is a memory fan. I'm really bad at like knowing where the camera's going to be able to see. Right, let's install this memory fan first, while the single stage is still cooling down. And then I can worry about a fan that's going to cover the chipset a bit. L3014 will still hold the Super Pi crowns. It's Super Pi, it's not per core. The other SSD that I need nearby. There they are. Right. Random 80mm fan. Expect to be able to spin freely. Yeah, that's fine. Good, that's our chipset cooling sorted out. This board does have buttons, but they're actually in a really inconvenient place. So I should probably do something different there. Let's plug in a power switch anyway. There we go. And we're seeing -39 on the temperature monitor here for the head. So that means the SS is probably about as cold as it's going to get. So let's fire her up. Well, that's gone straight into OS. That's a good start. Starting mean to go on out. Well, I can sit down now. Wait, what's... Oh, is my alert box down there? Okay, hold on, let's... Yeah, that's alright. Yeah, I've been off with a bunch of stuff, and my back is fine now, but I've had other weird joint issues, which is all wonderful. But yeah, and I've just generally felt a little bit ill the last couple of days, but I don't think it's anything that's going to stop me from streaming. So, yeah, whatever, right? Let's do this. Right, there's our native res. So let's get into BIOS and let's see what's up. Whew. So the Alder Lake launch has been interesting. Not a whole lot of DDR5 availability. But that seems to be a good thing because it's not very good anyway. Yet. I'm sure better chips will come through as time goes on. DDR2 was awful at first. Load line. I like droop. I like my droop. Right, and we'll put it in 1 core per compute unit mode, because that's what we're doing today. Disable everything that I don't need. Smart fan control, don't need that. Right. Disable core performance boost. Yeah, let's just we'll enable EOCP, I guess it calls it, but that does load the XMP for the memory, so that should be running our 2,999. And that means that our sub timings hopefully won't completely suck. Except slight issues. So this board, and I don't mean this model, I mean this board sucks. But I'll go off on that in a minute because there's questions in chat. What GPU do you use in your stream rig? What's CPU use like? The GPU is a GT440, so I suspect I'm not using any kind of hardware encoding. So as far as CPU use, it's a Ryzen 3600, and we're currently sitting just around 20%, 17 to 20% on the 3600. I'm running a fairly low bitrate on the basis that my stream tends to be kind of lots of not a lot moving, not a lot changing, so I think a low bitrate should be fine for that, and I want to make sure that any viewer who's on like maybe a bit of a weaker connection isn't going to be screwed over. So the bit rate, I think it's 3 megabits per second. That's on the low side. Hopefully that's fine. And the CPU is very happy with that. So yes, this board, this specific sample, not the model. I have another UD7 that does like 300 plus base clock, no problem. This specific board sucks. Okay, this specific board, it can't do 250 very easily at all. I think I may have got 250 out of it, but it was a real struggle. I'm probably going to be limited to 230 base clock, but also that's fine, because I'm actually not planning to I'm not planning to really push that hard. So, but we still have our timings from XMP, and we'll just use the 1866 multi for now. Right, I think... Oh no, fucking offset voltage. Right. Morning, Crispy. So, when I messed with this before, I was on a 78 LMT USB 3, and on that board, I could just key in a fucking voltage, but this, I have to deal with offset voltage. So, because I've disabled cool and quiet and stuff, that actually changes the voltage on Gigabyte boards that it's offsetting from. So, I've saved and exited, I'm loading back into BIOS now. Hopefully, yep, there we are. Yeah, and you can see down here, that was showing 1.4 something earlier, and it's now showing 1.2625. So I want 1.5 volts, which is, oh right, pluses, minuses, minuses, plus. Okay, it at least shows me a preview of what the voltage is going to be. It's very nice of it. So we're aiming for 5 gigahertz at 1.5 volts, just to start off with. Nice and easy, hopefully. Tech Tested says, I expect with the SS you can do at least 1.6 volts. I expect that as well. This is going to be interesting because this is, I think, more aggressive memory, but the same core settings that I used previously. So let's just confirm with CPUZ that we're in, yeah, 4 cores, 4x2 meg, so that if we disabled modules instead, that would show 2x2 meg. It shows 4x2 meg, so that tells us all 4 modules are still active. It's just 1 core each. So let's run Cinebench R15. And while that runs, let me pull up my scores, if I can. The problem is that normally the easiest way to find hardware on HWBOT is actually by Googling the hardware, but because the 1 core per module rankings are so new, you can't find them that way. So I'm going to dig up the ranking and then I'm going to pop it in chat as well. Okay, yeah, my last score was 319 with this CPU. So there's the hardware listing. So hopefully we'll do better. Remind us to also do the 4P rankings when we're benching FX for Country Cup. I'll try to, yeah. Bungymon says this is slower than the Xeons I overclock. Yeah, I imagine so. Ah, there we are. 443. That's more like it. Right, so that shows us that it is scoring properly now, and it, more to the point, it wasn't scoring properly before. Now, before I reset and I go actually overclock a bit higher, what I want to do, yeah, let's save that, why not? I want to run, there it is, X265, because I thought my X265 score was in line, and that's why I didn't guess that it was thermal throttling. So I'm really interested if the X265 score is better now. I mean, it's going to be better because of the RAM, but like, how much better? It should be better because of the RAM anyway. Tech Tested and Yasarian talking about the meet that's happening in the USA. So if there's any viewers from the USA, let me see if I can dig out the link about that. There are 2 meets happening in the US, and the first one is actually next week, Wednesday to Friday, and then there's another one in a month's time. So if you're in the US and you can make it to, is it Bloomington, Illinois? Yeah, Bloomington, Illinois. Well worth going. Free entry, free liquid nitrogen. I don't know how Yoz managed to wrangle that, but he did a great job. Alright, so 12.888 was my previous X265 score, and this is 13.5, so it's a bit better, but it's not entirely out of line with just memory making a difference. I'm not sure what to make of that, if I'm honest. Let's clock. Let's push it. You asked a high-frequency trading server company if they'd sponsor. That's one way of doing it. So presumably they do overclocked servers. Yeah, let's see if 5.2 just boots, because we are colder now. I think Cinebench R15's one of the heavier ones that I'm messing with on this OS. So as much as it's heresy to use Cinebench as a stability test, I am going to use Cinebench as a stability test, and you can't stop me. Tech Tested says I'll be shooting a video there. Cool. Hopefully Intel will notice that one and not your Alder Lake video. Yeah. Well, you know. It's always good to have opinions. Well, 5.2 is not looking brilliantly happy. You visited them in Country Cup 2019 and pissed people off with epics. Yeah, I remember that. I was one of the people you pissed off. Alright. This is not what a happy Windows looks like. So let's get back into BIOS and give it a bit more chemical V. So remember to hit minus because down is up. That's more like 1.55 volts, was that? Let's see how that does. The funny thing is, a quirk of the capture card is that it takes a while for the pass-through to get its act together. So actually watching the stream, or watching OBS, I have a better idea of what's going on than just by watching the screen. I should probably do something to take more advantage of that, like move the keyboard around. Although, wow, this is still not looking happy. Huh. Alright. I guess we're dropping down. It might be a multiplier thing. Yoz says the random Sempphone I pulled out of my unbin stack is strong as fuck. That's cool. 3300 Northbridge, yeah, that's impressive. What kind of base clock does it do though? Because CPU binning affects that. Sometimes this voltage, CPU PLL voltage, the one that's normally 2.5, sometimes that can affect how high of a multiplier you can run, so I'm quite tempted to poke that. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to drop back to 5 GHz and I'm going to save a profile. So far it's been good at posting, but you should never tempt fate, especially with a Gigabyte motherboard. Not that they're bad at recovery, they're just troll, you know. I do not remember what any of these are, or if they're even mine. They might have been the previous owner. Well, anyway. So let's just try 5.1. If it passes Cinebench at 5 GHz, it should do 5.1 at least as far as Windows. Unless I've managed to corrupt the OS already, in which case we're switching SSD. Because I have a Windows 10 SSD as well, and I also have an image, so, you know. Alright, no, here we are. And I've lost my native res. Oh no. How is it? This is the first time I've had this problem. Tech Tested says, uh-oh. Yeah, you don't say. So, if anyone doesn't follow Tech Tested streams, this is a problem he's run into a few times. And I've never run into it before. But now I am. So, I'll see if more V-core helps with that, and if more V-core doesn't help, then something else, I guess. Probably the CPU PLL voltage, the 2.5 volt voltage. Yoz says, good endorsement for the PC2, ran for 3 days straight while testing 10B and didn't care at all. What's the PC2 in this context? Is that presumably a phase change? Oh, is it just like Little Devil PC2? Is that just what it's called? You're adding another acronym to an acronym. It doesn't really clarify that much. It's really annoying how all of the minor voltages actually have better control. They list it on their site as LDPC2, but yeah, Little Devil. Fair enough, okay. Yeah, I don't really know what this is, other than I'm vaguely aware it's a little devil unit, and I bought it off, I think it was MAT26 LFC in the UK, which is why it has a load of Intel stickers on the front. Yes! That worked! Raising CPU PLL voltage worked, and I have my native res back. Fuck me. Right. Forks says, how did that fix it? I mean, it was just like, it was a hunch, because all I did was raise multiplier, right? And obviously that affects the core speed, so you want more core voltage, but also that voltage helps with higher multipliers. But I don't know what. I don't see why that would affect specifically the issue of running at native res, but yeah. But the good news is, there's your answer. Raise the 2.5 volts PLL voltage and you get native res back. Yeah. This platform. I just realised I've been doing 5 GHz at 1.5, and the scores that I put up previously were at 4.8 at 1.5, so I am getting cold scaling. It's been a long couple of weeks. .454, right. What I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to have a look at the rankings. So obviously it's just me for hardware, but in terms of all Bulldozer rankings, so I'm currently, for all of the Bulldozer architecture quad-core rankings, I would be second, just ahead of Bones, and behind Doomed 83, who ran an FX-4200 on liquid nitrogen. Now, fun fact, the FX-4200 is a 1 core per compute unit configuration. Anyway, let's save this, because it's a pretty nice score. I want to push clocks more, but I would feel bad if I didn't save the score and then couldn't get it again. So, Tech Tested says I'm betting 5.3. As close to his FX-8320 score, which was 477. Alright. I'll see if I can get 5.3 then. There we are. Let's see if 5.3 works. It might need more PLL voltage. It might need more core voltage. Just jumping to 5.3 is, oh, hello. Definitely being a bit silly. And I think we've lost native res again. Oh. I wonder if more PLL voltage will fix it again. 2.7. See, you say that's the weirdest bug you've ever seen, but have you seen this one where it just, when I say save to CMOS and exit, it doesn't exit and it just stays on this screen? Because that's a weird bug. That means I need to move this over to reset. I think it's had plenty of time to save to the CMOS, so let's reset it ourselves. Yoz says, seen that one on all kinds of boards. Yeah, I've definitely seen it on, I think it was MSI boards before? I think. I might be wrong. But I think, oh god, I want to say my Z87 M-Power has this problem. But I might be wrong about that, I might be misremembering. Well, that's not going anywhere, is it? Lots of people in chat saying they've had it on lots of boards. No, fair enough. Gigabyte boards do troll, but this doesn't seem to be a Gigabyte thing. Right. So rather than being silly, let's do this the smart way. We know 25.5 multiplier works. That base clock OC would only take our memory to 1940, which is within what it's rated for and within what FX should be able to handle. So let's just try gentle base clock overclock. See where that goes. Oh, the interesting thing is the lights went out on the keyboard. Well, manual reset. Is it a PS2 keyboard? Yeah. I think I've mentioned it before, but it's off of a Sony Vaio desktop from like the mid-2000s. So people see like the kind of beige and grey colour scheme and they go, oh, is that an IBM Model M? It's not. It just looks vaguely similar, I'm afraid. It's just a standard old keyboard from before everything was black. Back in a more optimistic time. That's still not loading into Windows, is it? Well, it probably just needs more V-core at this point. Oh, I'm at 1. Okay, let's just try a smaller step first. I've never seen a beige keyboard from mid-2000s. I think it was mid-2000s. I don't think it was 90s. Well, if it helps, aha, Date first available, 23rd of May 2004. I found an Amazon listing for it. This still isn't loading into Windows. That's weird. Unless the capture card has got even worse. Oh, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't thought it. I'm gonna check. I'm going to check if it's the capture card. You heard a guitar. Oh, sorry. The camera is on a arm thingy that has springs, and the springs maybe sound a little bit. They're not very tuneful though. They're sort of. It's not great. Okay, well the good news is it's doing exactly the same shit plugged in directly, so this time it's not the capture card. This is now music stream. Do not wish that particular thing into existence, you will regret it. It did boot at 5.3. Yeah, it posted. Oh no, yeah, it did. It booted all the way in, didn't it? And it just didn't have full res. That is weird. I'm just going to like raise all of the voltages just in case there's something somewhere. I bet you could play a mad recorder. I have some capability on saxophone and piano, but it's been a while. Right, well, let's see if this, yeah, okay. So the thing is, was that just raising voltages at random, or was it actually something else? Well, still no native res. Yeah, there is an unlisted video out there of me wearing a zebra mask, playing Careless Whisper on saxophone with like the neck of the saxophone stuffed through the mouth of the mask. I do fuck it up a bit, but in my defence I was wearing a zebra mask at the time. Let's try reducing the CPU multiplier. No, it's fucking awesome. Why is it unlisted? I don't know, it just doesn't fit, you know. YouTube is not really a serious project for me, but it doesn't really fit what I'm trying to do, or the vague idea I have of something I might do at some point. So even dropping multi hasn't actually helped, so I'm going to try dropping down the PLL voltage again. Anyway, if someone reminds me after the stream, I'll dig it out and I'll post it in the Discord. Oh, yeah, I say that exactly as Infinity says it. Yeah, I will. If I haven't already, I might have already done it. Checking the YouTube stuff channel, it might be there. You never know. So, we're seeing now if dropping PLL helps. There's the spectre of a possibility that it's just changing the PLL voltage changes the behaviour, because this... Fuck me. I don't understand this platform. I really don't understand this platform. It's possible that I just happened to drop PLL voltage to like a more optimal level or something. Okay, well, let's put all of those other voltages back to where they were. Yoz says I almost forgot about the OC show. Yeah, back when the OC show was a thing that Truffman was doing, I was on it once. Are there VODs out there of when you streamed with Buildzoid? I've been on one stream with Buildzoid. I was physically there, physically present, and I'm afraid there is no VOD of it anywhere. It was actually the first stream of his that he didn't upload to YouTube. Make of that what you will. I thought it went well. Okay, so maybe there was something in the other random voltages. I know you overclocked a washing machine. Yeah, so back in the day, there was this guy in Buildzoid's chat who was like spamming about, oh, you should overclock a washing machine, overclock a washing machine. So, when I went over, what was happening was Gavin Bonshaw, who now writes for Anantech, was selling a DWAR, right? So I got the train to Liverpool, where he was based at the time, picked up the DWAR, got it back to the train station by taxi, and then I took it by train back to where I live, took it actually by bus from the train station to my house, then a few days later by bus to the train station again, and then on two different was it two? It was a number of different trains, the exact number doesn't matter, but it did involve changing at Manchester Piccadilly train station. So I've got this great big DWAR with me, and I'm just like carrying this like past police officers at the station, and like, God, like I don't want to rub it in or anything, but I will be honest, I was checking my privilege there. I was like, okay, thank goodness I'm white. I don't, you know, I don't want to be crass about it, but that would have been a different experience maybe for someone else. Which shouldn't be the case, obviously, anyway. To be honest, anyone who's carting a DWAR around is a bit dodgy, and you probably ought to check what they're doing, including myself, but yeah. So something in here has had an effect. Something has. Infinity says, wait, why? Because it's a really weird thing to be carting around a train station, especially in Manchester, which has had some incidents. And someone would quite reasonably be like, what the fuck is that? Is that a bomb? Like, God, I don't want to get political, but people have been shot for jumping over barriers while wearing a rucksack. Let's try Northbridge and HT link voltage. It looks nothing like a fucking... Well, I mean, it depends who's looking, doesn't it? If you know what a DWAR is, yeah. Lower memory multi. It definitely shouldn't be the memory multi. Yeah. Yeah, as Forks says, it would be... I don't want to get into it. I'm not going to say anything else about it. Okay, so Northbridge voltage and HT link voltage has given me back my... let's just say it looked weird and leave it at that. There was, when I got on one of the trains, one member of staff did ask what it was, but it was only in like... It was in a very casual way. It was very, you know, out of interest. There was no... It didn't feel like I was being interrogated or anything. So, Northbridge and HT link voltage has maybe helped. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to restart. I'm going to not touch anything else but restart, and I'll see if it still comes up with full resolution. Because I am kind of interested what's going on there. Anyway, the point is I got a DWAR by public transport from Liverpool to somewhere that's not very nearby to Liverpool. And then I actually stayed the night at Bill Zoy's place, and I was on a stream with him, sort of reading the chat and stuff. So that was the one Bill Zoid stream where he's ever interacted with the chat. Okay, so I still have my full resolution, so I guess it is the voltage settings. It just likes these voltage settings, I guess. Hopefully, maybe. So let's run with this and see if we can push clocks a bit more. I didn't expect this stream to be just working out like the nuances of FX in general. I expected it to be like specifically, you know, does going one core per module open up more headroom? So we'll try 5.3. Infinity says, when I had to move last time, I had to use a plane. You bought out a row of seats to store all your hardware, and attendants were like, why didn't you just put it in cargo? I think I agree. Thanks, I prefer my hardware alive. I agree with you there, yeah. Matt says, I think it would depend on which core it picks from the module to use. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I guess you've got two factors. Firstly, you've got the fact that you've got less heat going on, just in general. And the heat that you do have is a bit more sort of decentralised, I guess. And then on the other hand, you also have, you know, are the one cores that it's using, are they the better cores, as you allude to? So 5.3 hasn't worked. Let's go back to 204. So back to what has previously booted into Windows, and let's see if it boots into Windows. Yours says you'd think it would always pick the same ones. I think he means in terms of whether it improves clocks or not in terms of this weirdness. So, having gone up to 5.3 and not got into Windows, I've now dropped back to 5.1, which got into Windows previously with full resolution, and we're going to see if it gets into Windows with full resolution. However, I think I can already see where this is going. I was expecting this to be a bit more consistent, if I'm honest. So we went to settings that we had settings that worked. We went from the settings that worked to settings that didn't work, and now we've gone back to the settings that worked and they don't work. I hate overclocking. That's actually not true, but for goodness sake though. Usarian says if that happens it means it's time to clear CMOS and try again. You might be right, you might be right. Oh, for goodness sake, now what fresh hell is this? It should be cold. Like, it shouldn't be a cold issue, because it's not that sodding cold. Somewhere in the process it trained something broken. That is an interesting point. Typically, if you get the recovery loading bar, it's mem. I mean, maybe, but I'm not being aggressive with the memory, and normally FX is very tolerant with memory. So, I've just cut power. Thank you, Tim. Thank you for the clip. Okay, well the good news is it's now not booting at all. So that's progress. Right, okay. While we're here, this is just a random CMOS battery that was already in the board. Where is my LED? I have a blue LED that I use to kind of check the condition of CMOS batteries. So, aha, yeah, that's interesting. So the LED is like, you can see it's sort of barely lighting up, it's very weak. So that means that the battery's kind of low, which could be why I'm getting so many issues. So if I press this battery, that just lights up the LED strongly, no issues. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave the new battery just there. I'll take the old battery and I'll put it in my box of dead batteries for the recycling, which is just over the other side of the room, so that it doesn't accidentally get used for anything, because it's clearly low, and low CMOS battery is not good. You do not want to deal with it. So let's pop our new battery in and see if it behaves itself. Need the DC powered CMOS pseudo battery someone made recently. That's an interesting idea, yeah. Is that just taking 3.3 volt from the 24 pin, or is that like... Oh, what fresh hell is this? Every single LED is on. The postcode has every LED illuminated. Had a Molex plug. That would make sense. Wait, yeah, no. Molex is 12 and 5 volts. SATA has 3.3. Infinity says, I never thought about it, but do different boards have used different batteries? Good question. Modern boards are all CR2032 coin cells. Really old boards and possibly some like OEM stuff use different stuff. So maybe it was just the CMOS battery level and that's why it was being so weird. Although, having not reset the CMOS in any way, it is of course, naturally, continuing to be weird. Load optimized defaults, save and exit, and then we'll load the profile. Oh, of course, yeah, ITX has a different one, doesn't it? It has like a little pluggy in thing, and laptops. Quite right, quite right. That loaded pretty sharpish. What? Okay, well that's clearly not 5 gigahertz, but I mean, go off, I guess. That says 1.65, but I think it's going to go down. .65 for a little bit on SS won't kill it, but I'm going to go back into the BIOS and check what it's doing. Yep, and sure enough that's down to a more normal voltage now. Oh, my memory multiplier's gone too low. Actually, let's leave the memory multiplier low just for now. Just so I don't have to deal with anything. I'm not stopping at 1.5 vCore, I'm trying to run settings that I know are going to work. I'm definitely, like, 1.5 would be fine on water for fuck's sake. I'm definitely going higher. Should I not have run 1.6 for GPU Pi? I would not run 1.6 vCore on FX for GPU Pi if you were calling it with, let's say, this. If this was your cooler, don't run 1.6 on FX. If this is your cooler, feel free. And I don't have native phone. Right. I guess let's go back to trying a little bit more CPU PLL voltage. This has been such a pain in the ass. You know, when I saved that score earlier, I didn't think it was going to be an issue. I didn't actually think that would be the highest I could get working. At least we know that the weird resolution issues are something other than just what was I going to say? something other than just PLL, I guess. Let's put PLL back to normal and let's just do Northbridge and HT link. It could even be the board. It could be that this specific 990FXA-UD7 is just awful. I would actually believe that. Although the problem is, if that's actually the issue, then there's not a lot I can do about it in terms of the stream, which would be bad. Oh no. I'm literally loading optimized defaults. Just full defaults. Boot into Windows, see if that works. It should work. And if that works, I guess the next thing to do is more vCore. Load the profile, more vCore. And if that doesn't work, then it's going to be a relatively short stream. Well, I wasn't trying to tempt fate there. But this is it not booting in at optimized defaults. Oh, piss. Right. There is one other thing that we can do, which is to ditch Windows 7 entirely. Yeah. Just as you said, tech tested. I have a second SSD. This one has Windows 10 on it. So we'll see if this one behaves itself. And if that doesn't work, then at least we've got one Cinebench score. And I've already tested, these symptoms are not the capture card, for once. Okay, don't panic yet. Isn't the Cinebench score on the corrupted SSD? I mean, I've got SATA to USB adapters, I can pull it off, it should be fine. Even if the OS is up. I just have to pull it off before I can fiddle with anything. Before I can re-image it, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay, well. I mean, clearly it is to some extent an operating system issue. Which I guess is good to know. Or at least the not loading thing is an operating system issue. It's a really weird operating system issue. Okay. So What? Why? Why are you like this? Oh my goodness gracious me. So, you know how I always say that Gigabyte boards are trolls, right? What it's doing here is, I've saved my profile, but part of the profile is this DRAM EOCP setting, right? Which is set to profile 1. And what it's doing is I mean, clearly it's loading some of my overclock settings, right? I've got CPU voltage, I've got North Booch voltage, HT link, but everything that is affected by this setting, by this DRAM EOCP setting, is getting set to whatever that wants, rather than being set to whatever I'd entered when I saved the sodding profile. And that is why it's not behaving itself. That's why I'm getting this crap rather than like what I actually set. So if I switch that back to disabled now, is that just going to... Yeah, that autos out everything. For fuck's sake. Where's my phone? I am going to take a picture. I'm going to take a picture of the memory timings, and I'm then going to... There's nothing else here, is there? No. I'm going to enter them manually. So, T 998. No, of course I can't key in numbers. 9 24 8 21 10 16 8. That was 51 8. Okay. So that is my memory set up manually now. Oh, I can't key in ratio either. Right, lovely. Let's go 5 gigahertz. Memory voltage, we'll need 1.65. North bridge voltage, we're going to go with 1.2 and 1.3 because that seems to make everything just behave itself a bit better. And then this, I think the offset was enough to show 1.65, but that's going to go down to 1.5 because Gigabyte boards are trolls, and right now that's the V-core with I think it's the V-core with core performance boost enabled or something. But one way or another, that's like the turbo V-core, and it's going to go down to the base V-core. And it's going to offset off of that, so that should give me the correct V-core. Yep, and now let's save that. So hopefully if I have to load that profile again, it will actually load the bloody profile rather than loading half the profile. Right. Well, we're in an operating system. We're at 5 gigahertz on 4 cores. one core per module, of course. We're on single stage phase change. Let's run Y Cruncher, because if there's one way to be damn sure what your max temperatures are, how stable you are, it's Y. Oh no, shit. I can't do Y Cruncher because I am on 4 gig of RAM right now. Cinebench it is. But I do want to use hardware info to actually see what kind of temperatures we get reported. So that's kind of interesting actually. So our socket temperature is sensing 12 degrees right now, and our CPU is just not reporting anything temperature wise. So let's hit run. We'll pull hardware info back up, and we'll see if that shifts from 12 degrees. So I think that's just the lowest that the sensor can report. Have you got negative results enabled on hardware info? I didn't know there was a setting for that. I think that's a motherboard thing though. Let's enable that. Oh, right. Interesting. So there is a diode in chipset vicinity, which I guess must be pretty close to the socket if it's reading -14, because the heatsink feels, if anything, slightly warm, sort of slightly above ambient. What about the Southbridge heatsink? Yeah, again, just slightly, little bit warm, little bit above ambient. All right. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, like that must be pretty close to the CPU. That must be like a socket temperature or something, because I mean that makes sense, right? For CPU temperature right now. Well, neat. That's a 15-point loss from your previous score. Well, to be fair, I am running hardware info, and I'm running Windows 10, which probably doesn't help. Right, I don't have X265 on this OS. That's fine. Let's see if we can get that 5.3, eh? For that matter, let's see if we can get 5.1. I've learned my lesson. Why are you like this, Gigabyte? The lesson is don't listen to Matt. I think the lesson is don't jump ahead, which is a lesson I have to keep learning over and over. Because it happens a lot of the time. I try and jump ahead and then nothing works for an hour and then I'm back to square one. This seems like as good a time as any to take a rig pick while I remember. Right, that's done. Good. I mean, I can pull one from the stream, obviously, but it's convenient to have one, and I just remembered to do it, so I've done it now. Right, let's run R15, and while that runs, where did I leave my SATA adapter? Here we are. So you're probably about to get a Windowsy noise. There's a problem with this drive. Scan the drive now and fix it, really. So 454 was my previous best, so let's copy that over, and then I guess re-image. Oh, apparently a new version of Mercurium Reflect is available. That's nice. Okay, I think that all looks in order. Right, that's the new, the re-imaging set off. And 448, wow. I guess this Windows 10 installation is not very efficient. But that's fine. We're worried about clocks right now. But it's stable, yes, exactly. It's working. Working is much preferable to the alternative. A part of the cure, or am I part of the disease? Aha! My re-imaging is complete. Mercurium Reflect is really good. That's cool. I can see why Lee Cooft used it, like when he's running G-School booth and stuff at events. Were you skating just now? You mean like, what, moving the chair around? What do you mean? I mean as in like singing nonsense. Yeah, that bit I was doing. I've never heard that called skating before though. Now, what happened is that I had listened to the song Clocks by Coldplay earlier today, and then I said it's about clocks, and that got that song back in my head again. I am on board with calling Coldplay nonsense though. I mean, they're fine, but... I don't know. Well, that's, Oh, scatting! I see. Yeah, I guess. I think that's the top score. It was, oh! Yeah, it is. It's 4 points better than my previous best, I suppose. It's scaling well now. Yeah, yeah, it is. That's, yeah, perfectly decent scaling. So that's saved, because if I forgot to save it I would be upset. Tim the Enchanter says lately got a lot of Peter Gabriel songs stuck in my head. Peter Gabriel as a name doesn't ring a bell to me, if I'm honest. Well, let's try that 5.3. I have actually... I've realised, because they're like an obsolete physical medium, CDs can often be had very cheaply these days. So I have been starting to accumulate a CD collection. It's just not a very good CD collection at the moment. Like, it doesn't even represent what I think is good music. I know the Spider-Verse soundtrack as well. That's good. That I do think is good music. And then just for cred, I've got some random indie bands that nobody's heard of. I mean, some people have heard of CSS. Literally nobody has heard of Vicious Liberty. I know for a fact that you've not heard of Vicious Liberty, and if you say you have, you're lying. Unless I told you about them. Like, I only know about them because I literally am friends with the drummer's sister. So, you know. Anyway, I was supposed to be running Cinebench. Also, don't bother looking them up because they're not even around anymore. Although the singer Matt Peach has a solo project, which is alright. Yeah, it's not as good as the band was, it's pretty good. I need to get some actual music. Maybe they need a zebra-headed sax player. I think their thing was having 2 lead guitarists. I forget the name of the other one, which is kind of embarrassing. I don't think it would help. Ed Watkins, that was it. No idea what he's up to these days. I should get music sorted out for the stream at some point, but I mean, fuck knows how I would go about licensing Vicious Liberty for it, given that the band doesn't even exist. But there's a guy on Twitch who actually does improvised ambient music, which should be fine. Like it's actually, I think he licenses it under Creative Commons anyway. But I kind of want to check in with him first. But yeah, I mean, just random promo, check this guy out if you like sort of improvised guitar, ambient music type stuff, because he's good. You know, it's nice music for when you want to do something other than listen to music, but also you like having sound. It's also the complete opposite of Machine for Screams, as far as like music for a stream goes. Right, anyway, 466. So that's a pass at 5.3. $11 points away from your 8320, you say? Hoo-hoo-hoo. Might have to take a crack at that then. What I'll do, if I have to... Oh, actually, can I? Yeah. Perfect. Now I'm not even covering the render. And nothing else compares. Well, I mean... Actually, I want to run with hardware info again. Just see if that throws up anything of interest. Oh shit. I hit single core, didn't I? How do I cancel? This went from an insanely frustrating stream to awesome scaling. Yeah. Not available in demo version. What? And I hit Control C, which is normally cancel. Or have I just been using too many Linux terminals? Escape? Alt F4. I mean, yeah. There's that. Yeah, fair enough. Right, let's actually run multi-core. So we've got this so-called Northbridge temperature. And then we've got CPU, which is 12. Alright, well, seems to be hovering at -12. Oh, -11. Spoke too soon. Back to -12. Cool, not bad. Oh, you guys are doing GPU Pi on FX at the Allen 2 meet. That's going to be fun. I'm not actually sure how much power does the SS use. I have no idea, and to find out, I'd have to unplug it to plug the power meter in. Yeah, I would be guessing if I put a number to it. So I'm not going to. Alright, so we saw up to -10 on whatever the Northbridge sensor is. So that might be something like socket temp. Yeah, okay, let's try 5.4. We are at the point where we're starting to push the memory. So I might loosen out TRCD. This is PSC, so it's still at 999, and it should be doing, like, you know, CL and RP should be able to go way lower. RCD maybe not. Well, we've booted in at 5.4, that's a good start. I'll be honest, so this is just an issue that I've had at random. I don't know why, if it's some race condition or something, because, like, just closing it and restarting it makes it work again. If someone could clip that, I'd appreciate it, and I can maybe send it over to Matt. But it's so easily worked around that I don't really care. So let's do Cinebench at 5.4 then. See how that goes. Not as well as I'd hoped. Maybe service hasn't started yet. Yeah, maybe. At some point, eventually, what I want to do is I want to get a soundboard, and I want to get a clip of Truffman from OCTV yelling the word blue screen, like back in the day, so I can play that when that happens. That'd be fun. Because I cannot do it in... I cannot do what he does. I cannot make the word blue screen sound good, I guess. Right, let's preemptively loosen out RCD, even though I don't think that's the issue. And then let's raise V-core, which I do think is the issue. Oh boy. It's doing that again. That's a French overclocker thing. Are there other French overclockers who are also good at yelling the word blue screen? Maybe it's something about the accent then. That makes sense. Sorry, I'm just... It was only for a moment, but I feel like I caught a whiff of something that smelt a little bit like burning, so I'm just gonna, like... No, I think it's okay. Yeah, well, I've been going for a while at this point, so you start... Yeah. Neil says, I don't know, they just apparently like to do it. I don't know. I don't know what the word blue screen would be in French. Like, I know bleu, but I don't know screen. Also, would they even call it that, or would they call it something else? Because it wouldn't necessarily just be a literal translation. You're English, right? Doesn't it smell like toast all the time? Oh, there we go. More V-core. Écran bleu. Fair enough. I mean, if you smell toast, that's a symptom of a stroke. The good news is I don't smell toast. the problem is, whatever it smells like all the time is something that I don't recognise because I'm used to it. It's like how Corsica, the island of Corsica, which is kind of off the south coast of France, technically part of France, bit of an independent spirit. I do not know any of the politics there, so I'm not going to get into it, but I assume it's a bit like Wales or Scotland. Corsica has a really strong smell. It sort of smells a bit like French cheese to me, but I don't know if it's actually that or if it's like just a plant on the island or something. It's not a bad smell, it's quite a nice smell actually. That's the one place I've been that had a smell. Yeah, let's just do 1.6. Why is it that English muffins aren't particularly English? I mean, I'm not accountable for how Americans name things. Especially not with what you call a biscuit. Although, I will say this. I'll say this. The American like sausage biscuits, which is actually sausage scones, or sausage scones if you prefer, looks really nice. I've never had it, but it looks really nice. I know like a lot of British people go, oh, it's unfamiliar and therefore must be disgusting. No, it does look nice. Even if they're not biscuits. Yours says, when a whole town has a smell, it's usually from industry. I bet the waste that makes that smell isn't nearly as appetising as cheese. I know that's often the case, but I don't know. I don't think there's much heavy industry on Corsica. Honestly, I suspect it might genuinely be cheese or the local flora. That's certainly what it's attributed to. At least in the tourist stuff, which makes sense, right? Of course they would. But yeah, I'm not like a travel guy. I've been out of the country like 4 times, I think. And Corsica was one of them. I'll just give that a minute. I think what Americans call English muffins, we do in fairness just call muffins, which does make the name English muffin valid. Oh, for the love of God. There we are. Oh yeah, except also, like, up here in the north of England, we have a different thing called muffins, which are oven-bottom muffins, which are, like, more like bread rolls, so let's not go there. I think it's as opposed to French muffin. French muffin being, what, cupcakes? Or sort of big cupcakes, I guess. Yeah, so it's funny, we actually just call them both muffins, so you just have to guess from context which it is. Both do use batter. Ah, for the love. Okay, the American use, the American abuse of the word batter, I cannot abide by. Right? Batter is what you put around a fish before you deep fry it. Crispy says he's had to look it up. Invented by a British expat. Alright. trying to make a toaster crumpet. Okay. Fair enough. You can have crumpets in a toaster, though. But bold of you to assume we don't deep fry things in the same batter we use for muffins and cupcakes. I mean, okay, fair enough, but it's not going to do 5.4, is it? But you shouldn't, though. Like, I mean, you can for fun, but like, the batter that you would like deep fry a fish in should not be sugary. Might be able to tweak up Northbridge. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Right, let's try 5350 and let's nudge down my core voltage again because I don't think that's helped. For US, batter has to do with consistency. Yeah. I think we add sugar after we do the cooking. I have never put sugar in a batter. What? No, that doesn't make sense. You can't make a cake without sugar. What would the yeast use? How would it rise? That's weird. I don't like that. Right, Cinebench at 5.35. I think Tech Tested might have been about right in the prediction of 5.3. Bread rises, not cake. Well, I mean, no, okay. Bread, you would actually like let the dough rise before baking it, but like cakes still rise at some stage. There are plenty of cakes that... Okay, yes. There are plenty of cakes that don't rise. Some aren't even baked. Actually, yeah, that's true. Cheesecake. Cheesecake is a fun one. I've got a really good cheesecake recipe, which is basically... make the base out of ginger biscuits, right? Packet of ginger biscuits. Good cheesecake is baked. Well, maybe you think so. So, packet of ginger biscuits and as much butter as it takes to make the base the right consistency. And then it was 300 grams of soft cheese, 250 grams of mascarpone, 150 grams of icing sugar, and 50 grams of cocoa powder. And that makes a really good chocolate cheesecake. Like you just... mix all of those together. You set the base in the fridge, then you mix together the mascarpone, the soft cheese, the cocoa powder and icing sugar. Put that on top, put it back in the fridge, set that, and that's really nice. If you want to get fancy with it, if you can get like crystallized ginger or something, put that in, that's really nice. And yes, that doesn't need baking. 472. Really close to Matt's scores now, apparently. Okay. So we'll see if we can get 480 then. In fact, that means I can put something in the title. I've given myself a target now. So... So we'll save that 472 run, and then CPU Northbridge and memory. I'm very glad that I've managed to get people just talking about cakes and stuff. The cake is yeah. Yeah, let's not talk about the implications of you will be baked and then there will be cake. All I'm going to say is munchies. Right, so yeah, CPU Northbridge. I mean, that's going to do like 2.6, no problem, right? Actually, let's do a profile first. No baked cheesecake can fuck right off. It's different, but honestly, I think it's nice. I think if you do a good job, if you make a good one, it's nice. I do respect having extremely strong opinions about no-bake cheesecake, though. One thing I've found that can help with cheesecake consistency is adding sour cream. No, what are you doing? Actually, something that can definitely fuck right off is there's a recipe out there for chocolate mousse that doesn't use eggs. Instead, to get the kind of mousse consistently, it uses marshmallows. That stuff is cursed. And speaking of cursed, what? I think I might need a little bit more CPU Northbridge voltage. What the fuck is going on here? Yeah, CPU Northbridge probably a little bit unstable, judging by that. Crispy says, I think it's okay, but compared to cheesecake, a butter knife will stand in blade down. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, baked and non-baked cheesecake to me are just kind of different foods. Like, they're just different, yeah. If you wanted one and you got the other, you'd be very disappointed. So, fair enough. Let's drop a malt first. Let's see if 2.35 Northbridge works. You've never seen a baked cheesecake? Huh. I've had baked cheesecake. I think it's quite nice. I prefer non-baked cheesecake, but yeah. Well, I don't tend to have a lot of cheesecake these days, to be fair, because it's not exactly filling. And it's just kind of like fat and sugar. Right, that's more like it. So, graham cracker, etc. type things crumble to make a crust with some butter is really good. I don't actually know. I guess it's not a British thing. I don't know what a graham cracker is. I think I'm pronouncing it right because I think I've heard people talk about graham crackers and it's not graham crackers. My mind wants to say graham cracker. Infinity says, it's a tasteless cracker! Pretty similar to the cracker stroke biscuit you used. So what, similar to ginger nuts? I didn't notice my caps was on. I thought you just really didn't like them, Infinity. I'm kind of curious now. Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Oh, the Wikipedia article's great. History. The graham cracker was inspired by the preaching of Sylvester Graham, who was part of the 19th century temperance movement. He believed that minimising pleasure and stimulation of all kinds, including the prevention of stuff I can't talk about on Twitch, coupled with a vegetarian diet anchored by bread made from wheat coarsely ground at home, was how God intended people to live, and that following this natural law would keep people healthy. I see. So it's a type of biscuit that was invented by somebody who thought that enjoying yourself was bad. And people still use them, but they just like cover them in sugar and cinnamon. Why not just have like a nice biscuit in the first place? Self-pollution, yeah, that's one way of putting it. Hey, 471. That's slightly worse, isn't it? I think I may have accidentally let myself in for I mean, I can try real-time priority, but I might have let myself in for memory tuning for Cinebench, which I should have been hoping to avoid. You can try dragging it off screen. Yeah, that's true. The reason I'm keeping it up like this is just because it's nicer for the stream. Like, you can actually see what's going on. I can see what's going on. Although we do know at this point that this platform, if Cinebench crashes, it does just BSOD. So I guess that helps. Like, we know whether it's crashed or not. But yeah, if this was off stream, what I would do is I would like set real time, I'd drag it off screen, I would hit run, and then I would go do something else. Although to be fair, I can effectively do that right now, because I can just hit run and then talk about graham crackers for like 10 minutes. That's an option. But I'm going to be doing the timestamps for this to put it on YouTube in like 3 months' time, and I'm just going to be like, why am I going on about graham crackers? 473. I think that's like 1 point higher? Is that 1 point higher? Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, let's save that anyway. Tech Tested says this would actually beat my scores if you were in Windows 7. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it is done imaging. This setup is working right now, and I don't want to like jinx it. Alright, well, let's do that once more, and let's do it properly with real time and everything. Actually, I'll drag it down here, and then you can see when the score pops up at least. Tech Tester says, I don't blame you, yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because it sounds like graham crackers are basically, you know, kind of rubbish, but people have worked out how to use them in cooking. So, you know, there's all of these ideas that use them, even though they're kind of rubbish, and so they're still used, which is kind of interesting. Yours says, perfect Saturday watching Mick Bench and hanging out with Ryzen. That's the name of your cat, right? For those unaware. Yeah, that's a bold choice of pet name that has worked out just fine. But yeah, we have a local cat called Chips. Which is fun. It's kind of interesting because she wasn't really allowed out much in COVID, so she is now Chunky Chips. But yeah, we have I don't know to what extent this exists outside of the UK, but we have something called a chip butty, which is literally just oh, 479, sweet. A chip butty is literally, it's a bread roll with chips, as in like, I don't know what the correct American term would be, because they're not French fries. French fries are like skinny and crispy. These are like big chunks of like baked potato, effectively, or fried potato. But those in a bread roll with butter. They're also not potato wedges. They're not the same thing as potato wedges. We have those are different. Anyway, oh, steak chips. That might be the word. Steak chips or steak fries? Anyway, yeah, those in a bread roll. And I've commissioned the same artist who did Ground's profile picture. You know, the circle is the don't touch my trash trash panda. I've commissioned the same artist to do a picture of the cat Chips in a bread roll, as a visual pun that literally only works for like me and my partner. Right, well, I just beat Matt's score, so I better save it. Possum is not quite a trash pan. Fair enough. To be honest, I'd completely blanked on the word possum. Fox says, I liked his lion profile picture, but the new art is great. Yeah. Yeah, the lion's a lot of fun, but... okay, thank you, Automod. Yeah, might be a good idea to spell out raccoon as the full word. I have approved it because of context, but Automod also... I don't want to tell Automod that that's... Yeah. Anyway. Oh, title. Right. So let's see if I can pick up a point. Infinity says, I learned what that means only a few years ago and I keep forgetting. Yeah, fair enough. It's not your fault that people keep inventing new racial slurs. People should stop inventing new racial slurs. So let's do 1T710.7, that should be fine. And let's give it 1.75 volts, which, yeah, that should work. Yoz says, oh right, like my ROC post the other day. Yeah, I've set up the auto mod in r/overclocking quite aggressively, I guess. And so there are a lot of words on the list, or it's mostly phrases actually. I try and do phrases rather than words. But yeah, anything with the word shill in it will automatically be hidden and put in the mod queue. Filtered, that's the word, filtered. So, and that includes editing. So if you... Infinity says, wait, why? Because people keep calling each other NVIDIA shills, AMD shills, Intel shills, whatever. Oh, hello. Okay, CL7, not happy. That's interesting. Oh, I thought you meant here. No, not here. I haven't done anything with the auto mod for Twitch. It's just the default auto mod that Twitch has. Because, you know, I do mostly keep an eye on chat. So I'm surprised that didn't work. I'm going to push voltage. More memory voltage. CPU Northbridge probably has a bigger impact. Well, it did like a point, which to be fair, I only need a point. Oh, hello, that's still not happy, is it? Okay. But yeah, it only did like 1 point going up from 2140 to 2354, so it is low. I agree it's low. And I do only need 1 point. I might need to just loosen out TRCD more just to let it take the voltage. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Yeah, I think that's TRCD, probably, hopefully. Or it might be 1T. That might be it. You know what? Let's try that. Let's try that first. Let's go back to 710.7 and 2T. What I see, it's PSC, but it's Corsair XMS3 PSC. Just because that's the mood I was in when I was setting the system up. Because I haven't properly binned my PSC yet. I don't know what PCB it is, but I think it is actually a Corsair PCB rather than a third-party PCB. Or at least it's a Corsair design. It will have been manufactured by a third party. So I think it's a different PCB to Dominator GT. I'd have to have the heat sinks off to actually see what it is, and you know. Okay, yeah, 2T did it. So I guess this particular PCB that's used for XMS3 doesn't have a very good CAD bus or something. But it can do 710.7, or it can boot it at least. We've got that far. So Cinebench is not. You know what? Let's run PyPrime. I'm going to blast through PyPrime just like to give a general indication of whether the memory is stable or not. Got to be really crap or already dead to take a Corsair heatsink off. Or you can use solvents. Actually, while that runs, I will be back in a moment. I need to fetch something. And yes, it does relate to solvents. So this is my jar of XMS, which I need to empty out at some point. It's in white spirit, which I think should be the same stuff as turpentine substitute, and apparently turpentine substitute makes it so the glue just comes off. So that's something I'm going to have to take those out at some point and see if they actually do just fall off. What's XMS? Of course there's old branding. Oh no, yeah, you're right, sorry. It's not XMS, it's a jar of Dominator. Quite right. Although it does, it is, to be fair, marked XMS2 8500 on it. But yeah, it's Micron chips. 512 megabit RevD DDR2. Also known as Micron D9s. Although all Micron is D9s. Well, all BGA Micron is D9s. There are C9s. Shut up. And don't mention the DDR5 with Micron D8s either. Or late DDR4 for that matter. And thank you for the wish of luck, Crispy Silicon, if you're still here. Apparently C9 usually just means crucial. Yeah, I mean, that's more of kind of an inference stroke guess than anything that's been confirmed as far as I'm aware, but yeah. Infinity says, I'm a moron, my eyesight is super bad, and I thought you took out a jar of solvent. It is a jar of solvent. It's a jar of solvent with some RAM in it. You can see at the top of the jar the layer of solvent. So the solvent in the I don't know, like, hey, 480, sweet. Oh, you didn't see the memory, okay. Yeah, I have a second jar somewhere, and then I've got like a beaten up tray, but I think that's in a different room. So I might do a bonus stream at some point. Like just emptying that out, seeing if it's helped. Seeing if the heatsinks will come off without violence. Because my general understanding is that with those heatsinks that they are a time bomb. Like, I've seen them called suicide heat spreaders. Well, that's my 480 done. You're saying Matt can beat the scores next week with LN2. Yeah, good idea. You should do that. I mean, it's only fair, because you did scores on water even if you did forget to post them. And I've just beaten them with single stage. Right, well, I guess as we're here, I should do some other benchmarks. I can't do Y Cruncher because that needs more memory, so I guess let's just go through the Cinebenches, or yeah, let's do R20 or 11. I'll do 11.5 first. Why not? Actually, hold on. Yeah, to be fair, I did start out with a air, water, single stage, LN2. Makes sense. What I might do, I don't know. No, I'll keep it going for a little bit. Linus posted a chiller pic on Facebook, and at first I was going to comment, then I looked at the comments and decided to abandon thread. Yeah. You should just get LN2 and beat them again. I can't stream from my garage, and obviously I was off for a little bit because of back issues. The last thing that I need is like lifting a DWAR up the stairs. That's not going to be any good for anyone. You say garage like an American. No, I say garage like a posh Brit. You know, a less posh Brit would say garage. Like, I'm just going down to a garage. I say garage because even though I'm from Derby, my family is from like the south. Here, that's a score. Actually, that's really interesting. So that's right in between an 860 and a 960 there. So it's keeping up with the Core i7, and all it needed was Subzero cooling. The real buddy one. Just read the comments on that Facebook post, now I understand. Yeah. Yeah, LTT comments, oh boy. Apparently Linus reads a lot of them. Oof. I wouldn't if I was in his position. Matt says that's still slower than my 8350. Is it now? Tell me more. What did you get with your 8350? And we wonder why Linus is messed up. Yeah. You got 5.34. Viscera has more IPC. Yeah, it does. But I beat his Cinebench R15. Okay, fuck it, hold on. Infinity says, holy shit, those comments. Okay, someone is going to have to link me that thread so I can read it at some point. Not right now, because right now I need to raise my CPU Northbridge clock, but clearly I need to read it at some point. Right, so more CPU Northbridge frequency, and because last time that caused some problems, let's give it more CPU Northbridge voltage as well. And then hopefully it won't cause some problems. I don't want to get emotional here, but it's been really nice to actually get back and stream for. It's, you know, going on for 2.5 hours now, and I'm really glad that I did it. It's been really nice. It's doing it again. It is doing the thing. Oh! No, it's definitely doing it. Whoa! What? Yeah, no, this isn't happy. This is not happy. That's really weird, though. That's a really weird way of bugging out. It looks like a PCIe issue. Wait. It looks like a PCIe issue, and PCIe issues are solved with this voltage, I think. I wonder. Your memory might give you the edge on my SuperPi 1M score. I don't. For now, I'm not going to do single-threaded benchmarks. I need to actually, I guess, make a forum thread about this. Because with single-threaded benchmarks, the thing is, people already were running FX in one core per compute unit mode for single-threaded stuff. So it doesn't make sense to have two different. Well, either they can say any score that was run in that mode has to move into the new category, or they can say single-threaded scores go in the basic category. I'm probably not putting this very well. I'll think about how to put it so it makes more sense with the thread. How does the new category affect CPU frequency and all that? I have no idea, but my general inclination is I think single-threaded benchmarks ought to go in like the base category, and I think that this applies to Alder Lake as well. I think if you do, if anybody ever manages to get like a SuperPi record on Alder Lake, I think they should put it in like the 12900K category. Not the 12900K 8P category, even if they've disabled down to the, which they will have had to, disabled down to the 8 performance cores. Other people might have different opinions. I'm not married to that opinion. But it's like you can do one or the other. You can either enforce the configuration, or you can say you put them in the base category. Yoss says, I think it's a matter of the engine not supporting. And yeah, that's part of the problem, is that HWBOT doesn't currently have a way to close off certain categories for certain CPUs. Frankly, I wish it did, because then also you wouldn't have mobile benchmarks that just will not run, cluttering up desktop chips. So that's something that needs to be sorted out at some point. But that's probably for a forum thread. So Northbridge, PCIe, etc., blah blah blah, has not helped. I mean, I'm going to try even more CPU Northbridge voltage. That was the wrong button. XTU is a good one for that, yeah. I mean, there's so many benchmarks on HWBOT now. And a lot of them, they just, you know, they're just cluttering up the pages for hardware that they're not applicable to. Are we going to get the repair thing? We are. Forks is going to tell me that I can disable that, and he'll be right. Well, this is looking promising. Oh, hey! Right, brilliant. Right. Let's run that, fingers crossed. Single core is dead, surprised Intel didn't kill it sooner. You mean single core XTU? I'm going to have to go AFK pretty soon, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that run until I've got a score. And then I'm going to switch to the BRB screen, and I'll probably run an advert while I'm at AFK. I don't expect anyone to, sit and watch the advert. And I think last time that I did that, Twitch, I don't think really paid me anything for it. It's mostly just a way of putting like a time on it for me. So it's like, okay, I know that like I'm not expected to be doing anything in this window. 5.23, right, so what was our previous best? You need to have no, you do get ad money. I get ad money from like the pre-roll ads and stuff, and I actually get ad money from people watching the VODs. Not a lot, but like a little bit, tiny bit, pennies. Anyway, that was a slightly lower score, so I'm going to have to rerun that. But I also do need to BRB, so I'm going to switch to the BRB screen. I'm going to run a maximum length 3-minute ad break, which will disable the pre-roll ads for a while, so that'll be nice. So yeah, go get a cup of coffee or something, cup of tea, put the kettle on. I'll see you in 3 to 5 minutes, hopefully. Okay. I'm back. Sorry, that's more like 7 minutes. Right. Well, I think the first thing I want to do is rerun. So I'll get that rerun set off in a moment. But yeah, I suppose I mustn't talk too much because everyone else right now is probably off getting a drink or something. Yeah, having a bio break of their own, whatever. So yeah. I guess there's not going to be too much to recap, but I'll recap after the rerun. Matt says I was running at 5.111 gigahertz on the 8350. Fair enough. So, is that a bit higher than you were doing for R15? It was the same for both. Okay. That's not that different. That's pretty close. So it could just be an IPC thing. It could just be that the 8350 has better IPC in 11.5. That doesn't explain why my score went down. 5.26 this time. That's only the same. As the same, even on a rerun, as the same as the score with the lower CPU Northbridge. Alright, well, yeah, so for anybody just coming back in now, I'm back finally. Did a rerun, 5.26, which is the same as the score at lower CPU Northbridge clocks, so yeah. My theory is its stability. So I'm going to increase CPU Northbridge voltage even more. Add voltage, yeah, exactly. And hopefully, hopefully more voltage will help, because yeah. If you increase clocks and the score gets worse, that does make me think that there's some kind of weird instability related thing. Although so far adding voltage seems to have made things worse, because it's doing the thing again. Well, this is what I meant about CPU Northbridge having a weird sweet spot. I don't know, maybe the CPU Northbridge on this 8120 is just awful. I don't think I can get it any higher unless I do something with base clock, I guess. I could maybe try dropping the CPU multiplier and pushing base clock. And dropping CPU Northbridge multi as well. We've had some FX not want to go any higher than 2600. Yeah. That would explain it. God, this isn't looking happy either, is it? Alright. We're going to be dropping multipliers left, right and centre. think that, yeah, that should be fine, because I think it was this we ran at before. So that should be fine for CPU Northbridge. Yeah, let's leave it there for CPU Northbridge. Drop the multi. And we're aiming for 5350 on the core, so let's drop our HT link as well. I don't like the 0.5 mults, I don't know why. There we are, that's 5352 on the core. Bit more CPU Northbridge, a bit more memory clock as well. Let's give that a go. Matt says, I really think this is the right move. I agree. He also says, I wish there was any info about Haswell non-K base clock. Oh boy. I mean, it should be pretty similar to Haswell K base clock, right? Like, other than you don't get to use straps. But I don't know if there's any info out there about Haswell K base clock. Right. Right, let's see how this goes then. You didn't set real time, did you? I'm using Benchmate, and Benchmate has it set to real time. You can see where it's highlighted on Benchmate. Yeah. Well, one of the benefits of Benchmate, or Benchmate, as I like to call it when I remember to do so. There is a bit less to look at this way. Other than the temperature display on the single stage slowly ticking up. I say slowly. And 5.26. That's exactly the PB again. Ah. I'm going to rerun that. At least it's consistent. Hopefully it'll pick up a couple of points on the rerun. What was my target? Was it 5.3? 5.35. Why did I set myself 5.35 as a target? Alright, well, while that runs, I'll react to the screenshot that Forks has put in my Discord of LTT comments. So, a couple of GIFs, whatever. Looks like they use a AC type of gas and compressor to do this. R134A? I mean... yeah. That's an interesting example, actually, because it's an interesting example of, like, you know, people on the internet that are sort of trying to sound smart, but they're like... It's a picture of a water block. Oh. So it's a picture of a water block with frost, and someone's going, oh, you're putting R134A through that, are you? Yeah. Right, yeah, so that's... exactly. Like, people on the internet trying to sound smart, who, like, they don't know anything, but they make a guess, and they like... Rather than thinking, oh, this is unfamiliar to me, I should try and find out, I should ask. Like, I can't ask, I can't learn anything, because learning isn't being smart. Smart people don't learn anything. Smart people just know things. So they go out and declare, oh, I see a frosty water block. That must have R134A going through it. Can't possibly be antifreeze that's going through it. Yeah. And it's like, they could just... I mean, it is a genuinely difficult skill to recognise, like, when you don't know something. Because sometimes it makes sense to make an assumption, and sometimes, you know, you genuinely don't know. And, you know, I've been in some situations sometimes where I, like, tried to avoid making an assumption, and people, like, had a go at me for not making an assumption. It's just like, you know, why do you need confirmation of that? It's like, well, I want to check. Those actually look like HVAC service hoses. Oh, okay, so it might be. Fair enough. Well, that's me wrecked, isn't it? Because here I am making a fucking assumption, and maybe they actually are using a water block as an evap. Well, fuck me. I mean, yeah, sure, of course. So, yeah. Alright. So that's dropped a point now. I'm going to call 11.5 a write-off. I think they talked about it on WAN and it was just a massive chiller. Oh yeah, I haven't seen this week's WAN show yet. That should be interesting. I'm going to just completely write off 11.5. Fuck it. Yeah, I'll watch WAN show at some point. Don't know when, and then I'll form an opinion later. Well, there shouldn't be anything wrong with the current clocks, at least. So I guess let's just run through the other Cinebenches, or actually, okay. Here's what I want to do. Rather than streaming me running through benches at clocks that I've already dialed in, which I think would not make for an especially interesting stream, I'm going to switch to Windows 7 and I'm going to do X265. Admittedly, I'm still going to do X265 at clocks that I've already dialed in. But X265 is more memory sensitive, so there's a little bit of room for me to tune that. Whereas there's no point trying to memory tune for Cinebench. I've done that, I spent hours on it, and it turned out to be pointless. If you want to see that stream, there's an archive on YouTube somewhere, and I've got the archive linked in the Discord. I've actually put full, like, timestamps on the archive. So I think it should be fairly usable, fairly watchable, hopefully. I've tried to, like, timestamp the fuck out of it. Oh, right, that's on reset. There we go. You know what? I'll find the... While that's booting up, assuming it does boot. Oh, cool. Tom Scott has a new video out. Your channel. Ah, yeah. Stream title: taking 5 hours to figure out that Cinebench R20 doesn't care about your Ryzen 5600G's memory settings. Yeah, I phrased it that way, in that very specific way, for SEO, to try and get it to show up for, like, 5600G related content. But, yeah, okay, that has, like, a gazillion timestamps. So, if you want to just skip to the timestamps that relate to me losing my sanity, there it is. I should do, like, a bot command that's, like, !archive. That would be a good idea. And that still needs to... because that's not native res, but I think it's just GPU drivers right now. So maybe I can set that up while that's going, hopefully. CloudBot, commands, add command. Alright. Restart now. Yes, please. There we go. Do 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 do. Please, yes. Good. What can an AM2 1U server do in this day and age? I imagine it can serve things. Like, I mean, shit like a basic website? Sure, why not? Probably not a modern Minecraft server, but like an old school Minecraft server, maybe, I guess, or like some other like older games. It could probably run HWBOT. Okay, I'll be honest. Just tapping on my desk is a terrible way to do a badum-tish, but yeah. I mean, in general, like storage, or if you want to just have could run HWBOT as well as HWBOT runs now. Yeah, that's the joke. I don't think it can certify for any current server OS. I mean, you can just, you know, run something on it. Running some TeamSpeak servers maybe, says Blue Paw Wolf. Yeah. I think just generally, like, if you're archiving stuff from the internet, so you need to download something, just any box would be good for that. Raise your power bill. Yeah, it definitely would be able to do that. Right. I'm going to save this score, 14.581, and then I'm going to push it. Oh, by the way, Matt, Tech Tester, did you do X265? And if so, what's your best? I say that, I could just look it up, but... right. I'm going to try to push the what's it in the bob. You got 14.904, did you? Alright. So I've got room to push then. Yoz says the real question is, does anyone in the US want it? Mate, there's 10 viewers right now. I'm very grateful for all of them, but it's not that many in the scheme of like trying to give away obscure hardware. You might have better luck posting on some Discords. Okay. I think it should be capable of just pushing the memory clock. I think 2676 memory clock should be possible. Oh, Matt raises a good point. Okay, right. No, one moment. I'm going to go off on one briefly. Infinity says, by the way, have you seen that miners are buying up Ryzen CPUs? So, this was a thing ages ago and hasn't stopped being a thing, right? Monero mining uses Ryzen CPUs. It's very cache heavy. That's been a thing since like before COVID, before the current crypto boom. Like that was a thing for the last crypto boom. And I honestly think like when a news story comes out like, oh, some like hardware is going to go into shortage now because of like some new cryptocurrency. Like this happened with Chia, right? And nobody cares about Chia anymore. I honestly think it's just like the next great way of like publicizing your new random cryptocurrency. Like I say random, I'm sure a lot of engineering effort has like gone into like making this new algorithm or whatever, or they just like copied Monero's homework. But like, if there's one way to get tech media to write about your cryptocurrency, it's to put stories out there saying that it's going to cause a hardware shortage. You know. It doesn't mean it's actually going to cause a hardware shortage, but it's a great way to get everyone to go, did you know you can mine on a hard drive now? Fancy that, there's going to be a hard drive shortage. No, I mean, the thing is, it's... I can believe that Chia is still a big problem for hardware availability, but also that... Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's sort of... There's a lot of factors and there's not necessarily a lot of leeway in the supply chains. Because none of the people who supply hardware have much of an incentive to prevent a shortage. Anyway. Never mind that. Let's see if I can get 2400 running. That's definitely going to need more Vasticaz TRCD, what's it? In fact, yeah, let's go to 711, 728. And that's a little bit aggressive on RCD, but hopefully it'll work. Anyway, I'm an extremely cynical person. And if I was trying to promote a cryptocurrency, I would tell a load of tech journalists that it was going to cause a hardware shortage. The funny thing is, though, I mean, that doesn't mean it's not going to cause a hardware shortage. I'm getting the recovery screen. That's not a good sign. It might need more TRCD than that. Your computer was unable to fuck off. Yeah, the more word spreads, the more people will run out and buy stuff. Exactly. Like, yeah, precisely. I mean, the good news is I do need to, like, get rid of some stuff, raise a bit of money, so I have a 5800X lying around. I'm probably going to sell that pretty soon. And that will get me some new tyres. Yeah, the reason that I wasn't on last week is start normally. Hopefully this actually starts and then I can actually finish that sentence. I could just leave it, I could just never finish that sentence. Well, that doesn't look like it's starting, does it? Ah. That's annoying. It should be capable. It should be capable of 2600 plus, for fuck's sake. Maybe there's a subtiming it's setting too tight. Because these are 2000 subtimings, so it shouldn't be, but I don't know. Let's just loosen those out a bit, I suppose. If that doesn't work, I'll start messing with this stuff. Come on. This is just going to nuke the fucking OS again, isn't it? I'm just about done with kind of my second favourite flavour. So that's the mango monster. Actually, no, that's not. Well, because the thing is, my favourite Monster flavour is Monster Rehab Lemon Iced Tea, and my second favourite is Monster Rossi, which is the sort of lemonade one. But you can hardly ever get the fucking iced tea flavour. So it's my second favourite flavour that I can actually get. I've never tried the Lemon Ultra. Right. Once the capture card has sorted itself out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down my memory multi and I'm just going to boot into OS. Bloons Tower Defense 6 after stream. That's not a bad idea. Maybe later on this evening. Once I've finished the stream, I'm going to have to tear everything down. Okay, that's actually starting. That's probably fine. I'm going to run X265 4K, I guess. My memory timings are a bit looser now, but just to make sure, you know. Oh no, hold on. Yeah, the OS is corrupted again. Piss. Well, the good news is I did get an X265 1080p score. Yeah, okay. 3 hours 10 minutes. I think I'm actually going to leave it. Yeah. I've been really glad to be back to streaming. I've really enjoyed it, but I don't want to push it. Yeah, I think I'll leave it for this session. Yeah, that's probably sensible. So, yeah, I'll tear all this down. After a break, it's important not to push yourself to exhaustion. Exactly, yeah. I'm not exhausted. Well, good night. Night then, Infinity. But yeah, I'll stay on just as I tear it down. So yeah, I started a sentence about what happened in the break, and then my operating system corrupted itself. But basically, so I've had a car for a while, and my parents, it's actually my parents' old car. And they insisted on sorting out the insurance and everything. Because they, you know, they wanted me to have one less thing to worry about. And they just sort of said, you know, don't worry, we've sorted it out, it's all fine, it's all as it's supposed to be. And so what happened on, I think it was Thursday last week, is I said, look, just for my peace of mind, can you send me the documents just so that I can check everything's in order? Everything was not in order. And it's quite an experience because they refused to accept that everything was not in order, even though it was like very, very plain on the documents. So, you know, you then have the experience where, you know, you can look at the paperwork and it's like it's written right there, and they're saying no, we've told the insurance company everything, we've been completely open with them, and I'm like, well, but it says this. So, I mean, it's the textbook definition of gaslighting, actually. When it's like someone saying, well, you know, yes, you can see this with your own eyes, but you should believe what I tell you, not what you can see with your own eyes. So that's been fun to deal with. It is now dealt with, at least in a practical sense. I know all too well how it is being gaslighted. Yeah, sorry to hear that. It's, yeah. The good news is I do have a good therapist, but it's, you know, just more than a week's work to go through all of that. Yeah, the car is now mine. It's no longer a borrowed car, it is a car that I own, and that means that I can take responsibility for everything and I can sort it all out, which means that everything is now sorted out, which is a big improvement. It does also mean I'm financially responsible for it, so I'm selling a load of hardware. For funny how that works. But definitely an improvement, and you know, it's not like I was using that 5800X anyway. To be honest, it's probably a good thing because there's a lot of hardware I've got like sat around. Yeah, it's a stress relief to have those things taken care of. But then, like, you know, it's like when you renovate an old house and like you pull back the plaster and there's more stuff and there's more stuff. You know, you just find more things that are wrong. So like, my front tyres are mismatched. There's a purchase receipt in the service history for like one tyre. Because I guess only one side was excessively worn at that point, and they thought, well, it's not worth doing both. You know, we're not going to spend an extra, you know, 80 quid or whatever. Or rather 60 quid, because they did not get good tyres. So, as far as I can tell, both of the front tyres are shit, but they're also mismatched shit. They're also summer tyres, which is, and it's 50-50 whether that matters, but they're not ideal. It's actually more concerning that only one tyre is wearing out. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. There might have been an issue previously, but as far as I'm concerned, like, I'm not sure if the back tyres have ever been done, actually. It does get a bit cold up here, it gets very wet up here, and I have on one occasion I managed to spin the front wheels when pulling away. Now, to be fair, I was giving it a lot of welly. The clutch on that car is a little bit aggressive, and it was back when I first started driving it again, so I was giving it quite a lot of gas to make up for the clutch, just to avoid it stalling. And I managed to spin the front wheels, which is still nonetheless a bit concerning. But yeah, I mean, I think there's been like work done on the suspension system since then, or at some point in the car's lifetime there's been work done on the suspension system. So I don't think the underlying issue remains. I think the underlying issue's probably been dealt with. Worn bushings or suspension, exactly, yeah. I think that's what it was, and I think that's been addressed. But the fact is that I have, you know, mismatched tyres is actually not good, and it's like, you know, talking about, oh, it feels a bit squirrely at full motorway speeds. Well, yeah, I wonder why. Fixing that will probably help the fuel economy as well. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, is like things like the fuel economy rating of the cheap shit tyres that are on there at the moment is crap. So I can actually, if I get all-weather tyres, just by getting better tyres, I can get better fuel economy than the summer tyres that are on there at the moment, because the summer tyres that are on there at the moment are cheap shit from Quick Fit. The battery's cheap shit from Quick Fit as well, but if the battery goes, it's not a disaster. What kind of car is it? It is a 2005 1.4 litre diesel Ford Fusion. The pre-facelift model, which basically just means that the CD radio unit is more annoying to change, and the indicator bulbs have to be orange rather than having an orange colour on the headlamps. But yeah, it's a nice little car. The engine is it's not a fast car. The engine is an 8-valve turbo diesel that I think was developed in partnership with Peugeot. Oh boy, I shouldn't have used MX-5. This is really stuck on there. Come on, don't be a pig. It's a really nice car. Like the Ford Fusion, it's got a decent amount of space for what it is, and it's really easy to park because you've just got fantastic visibility in it. Really good turning circle as well. I do love it. It's a little bit underpowered, although, you know, if you keep it in a low gear for longer, that does help. It's not brilliantly fast, but whatever, right? Blue Paul Wolf says, I've not even afforded getting a driving license, so I'm hoping self-driving cars come as soon as possible. Yeah, I have very mixed feelings about a lot of the stuff that people say in support of self-driving cars is, in my humble opinion, bullshit. Which doesn't mean self-driving cars are necessarily a bad thing. You know, a lot of people say a lot of bullshit in support of ideas that happen to also be good anyway. There we go. But yeah, you know, not naming any Veritasiums or anything, just there's a lot of rubbish out there, unfortunately. That's a debate for another day. Yeah, I mean, yeah, whether self-driving cars are good or not is a whole thing, and I don't even know what I think, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure. I don't feel like I'm necessarily qualified to say. Although I'm probably more qualified to say than all the people who comment. Well, not all of them, obviously. That'd be silly. But a lot of them, most of them. You know, I do actually have a degree in computer science. But yeah. One thing that irks me though is you see those like computer animations of like, this is what a junction would look like if all the cars were self-driving, and it's just like, you know, these cars like zipping around, threading together, threading through each other, and it's just like, okay, you can animate that, well done, you've made an animation. That doesn't mean that like that would actually be possible in the real world. Like, if you actually were to design a protocol for self-driving cars to commute, let's assume that you could get everybody to agree on a protocol, right? If you were to actually design a protocol for self-driving cars to communicate and agree on what path they're taking, and you were to then simulate such a junction with that protocol in place, I suspect you would get a very, very different result. I think you'd need a lot more space than these animations show. Hello, Pavel G Killer. How's things? Well, I've finished my Subzero overclocking session. So this is still at about, you know, minus. Actually, it's probably warmed up a bit now. It was down to about minus 40 in the session the phase had, but it's just sort of cool now. It's probably above freezing. But yeah, so I've just been mopping up some of the water from on the CPU, and what I'm going to do next is, once I've finished that, I'm going to end the stream and I'm going to blow a hairdryer on it. But blowing a hairdryer is not very stream friendly because it's blowing a hairdryer, it's noisy. So I'm very sorry to tell you that you have just about missed it all. I'm sorry about that. Where did I leave my screwdriver? There it is. So yeah, while I've been tearing it down, I've been grumbling about self-driving cars. Well, not about self-driving cars, but grumbling about a specific aspect of how people promote self-driving cars. I'm not. Yeah, it's a very, very complicated area. Oh well, I just saw it in the Discord chat. Oh yeah, the HWBOT server, I assume. Well, the good news is I'll probably stream again at some point. I have a regular schedule. I'm going to try and do 5 PM UK time on Saturdays from now on. It used to be 4 PM, and then I said I'm going to put the time back to 4 PM because I'd misremembered and thought it was 3. So I'm actually putting the time back an hour now to 5. But yeah, I have a Discord server of my own, where I talk about what the plan is for streams. I post polls about streams, and in there, unlike in the HWBOT server, I actually ping people when I go live. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, feel free to join. Up to you, of course. Right. So the other thing that I'm going to do for like drying out is I'm going to get a desk fan, sit it just there, blow it over the board, and I'm going to leave that like overnight. Blue Paul says, I don't much care for all that promotion, I just want something that works and can make me independent. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. And they should be able to work. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to work. I heard a great story once about a Russian company being hired to make self-driving cars to replace human drivers in mines for safety reasons. And they did a really good job and they worked great, and then the mining company decided they were more expensive than paying for the accidents, and so they canned them anyway. Of course that could happen just about anywhere these days. Anyway, thanks for joining, Pavel G Killer. There's a role that I'll set you up with in a minute once I'm off the stream, so you don't need to go through Discord's aggressive verification. And also so that if I ever decide I'm going to make the Discord server subscribers only, anyone who's already in there gets to stay there. But I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. It's only going to happen if it starts getting a bit big. Yes, anyway, I'm at the point of hairdryer, so I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye.